G'day Year 7, how are you going? We're continuing with our geometry topic today by looking at different types of angles. So in this topic, there's quite a lot of vocabulary that we need to be across. So a lot of words, which is perhaps something we're not so used to in maths, but if we get across these words, then we can describe things correctly and we can speak the same language and go from there. Now, you may be familiar with some of these. You might have done some of this in primary school. So we're just going to cover these different words today. So these types of angles are basically the names that we give to angles of a particular size. Okay, we measure an angle with degrees, and we essentially, a full revolution contains 360 degrees. And we can kind of split up our rotation into smaller bits, and we can call those angles that are made by those smaller bits these different names when they're within a certain range. Okay, so based on the number of degrees that makes up that angle, we use these different words. So the first one, for a small angle that's between 0 degrees and 90 degrees, is an acute angle. And we can remember acute as being small because it's nice and cute. Okay, so anything that's between 0 and 90 degrees is an acute angle. If an angle is exactly 90 degrees, then we can represent it rather than using an arc between the arms like we use normally. We actually use a little square, and we call that a right angle. Now, we use the little square because squares are actually made up of right angles. Okay, so if you ever see that little square symbol, it means that angle is equal to 90 degrees, and it's a right angle. Now, if something is bigger than 90 degrees, okay, but less than 180 degrees, we call it an obtuse angle. Okay, so acute is a small angle, right angle is 90 degrees, obtuse angle is bigger. There's different ways that you can remember that obtuse is bigger than 90. So you could think about obese as being big or something like that. That's up to you. But that's how we remember what an obtuse angle is. Now, 180, as we're aware, is half of 360. Okay, so we're halfway round to a full revolution. And we call that a straight angle or a line. A straight angle is almost no angle at all. If I just draw a straight line, okay, then there is an angle there of 180 degrees. You might not see the vertex, but we can still consider there to be an angle there of 180 degrees. A reflex angle is somewhere in between 180, a straight line, and a full revolution. Now you can see here the arc is drawn around the long ways, okay? So it's that full way around from one arm to the other. If we were to draw an arc in between these arms here, that would be an acute angle. So you can consider a reflex angle as the other side of an acute angle, okay? Or the other side of an obtuse angle. So that's why it's important that we signify angles with that arc symbol so that we know which angle we're talking about. So for example, up here, we could talk about a reflex angle here using the same arms, or over here, a reflex angle like that. So it's important that we signify with the arc which angle we're referring to. Are we referring to the smaller one, or are we referring to the larger one on the outside when it comes to this? So a reflex angle is the larger angle that goes around the long way between two arms. And then finally, a full revolution is a full circle, and that's equal to 360 degrees. Okay, so what we need to be able to do is visually identify what kind of angle we have here. We can see these little arcs in between the arms signify which angle we're talking about. Okay, let's see how we go with our vocabulary. So what you could do is pause the video now and then see if you can answer these questions, and then check that you've used the right words for each of these examples. Okay, and then unpause it when you're done. Okay, so for part A, we have here a small angle, and we call that an acute angle. Okay, for B, we have an angle, it's bigger than 90, so it's bigger than a right angle, but it's less than 180, so we call that an obtuse angle, so less than a straight line. For C, we have a straight line here. So we just call that a straight angle. And then for D, we have that square symbol, which is a very particular meaning, which means it's a right angle. Okay, E here, we have the arc on the going the long way round. We call this a reflex angle. Okay, now F looks very close to a revolution, but it's not quite. We can see here those arms are slightly apart. There might be just 1 or 2 degrees here. So F is actually also a reflex angle. Okay, it's almost a revolution. If those lines were on top of each other, it would be a revolution. G, okay, again, bigger than 90, but not quite a straight angle, is going to be another obtuse. And then H, we have an angle, it's slightly less than a right angle. So we see we don't have that square symbol, it's slightly smaller. So that's just another acute angle here. Okay, good luck with the work today, and I'll see you later.